everybody. This is Jonathan Scott and Angela Scott of the Big Cat People. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Now, we hope that you will already have pressed the button to register so as we can keep you updated as to new content. And we have three types of stories for you on the YouTube channel. We have top tips for photography. We have the world from where we're standing, the good, the bad and ugly. And then we have the behind the scenes of some of our favorite fine art prints. And today, it's going to be one of those. And this particular print is called A Glimpse into a Fragile Eden. And it's one of our favorites, a beautiful shot taken by Angie when we were at the Cheetah Conservation Fund in Namibia. Angie took it with a wide-angle lens as one of the male cheetahs just came towards her and stared at its reflection in the camera. And when I look at that, when Angie looks at that, we're sort of filled with a poignancy on behalf of cheetahs, a slight sense of what are we doing to our wild creatures? Because the cheetah might look fragile, but it's robust enough in the wild environment to be able to survive amongst the lions and hyenas. We should never expect to see too many cheetahs in the Maasai Mara or Serengeti compared to those other larger, bigger, more numerous predators. But the cheetah's just doing fine in those particular areas. But by comparison to how it was doing, say, 60 years ago, well, people think there were perhaps, and we're always cautious about numbers, that perhaps there were 30,000 wild cheetahs in Africa. And maybe at that time, who knows, 100 Asiatic cheetahs in Iran. And then the year 2000, Dr. Laurie Marker of the Cheetah Conservation Fund, as I say, which we're very proud to be patrons of, she basically estimated, along with her colleagues, that there were perhaps now 12 to 15,000. So in 20 years, from 1980s to the year 2000, we'd lost half the cheetahs. And then today, we estimate that perhaps there's no more than 7,100 wild cheetahs in Africa, and perhaps as few as 40 in Iran. So what's going on? Well, one of the problems is that up to 300 cheetah cubs are stolen every year from East Africa, from the Horn of Africa, and are smuggled to the Middle East where they're kept as exotic pets. The illegal trade in wildlife is helping to kill the wild cheetah population, to seriously deplete the wild cheetah population. And when you think a cheetah mum has more cubs generally, she can have, well, the record was actually 10. A mother cheetah in Nairobi National Park, and after 3 months she wasn't able to raise all of them and she abandoned them. In the Mara, we've seen cheetahs having, not uncommonly, up to 6 cubs. And the reason they have so many cubs is because they tend to lose a lot of those cubs to other predators, to lions and hyenas. And so often, by the time a cheetah emerges, like Honey did, with little Toto, the star of Big Cat Week 2003, a cheetah that millions of people fell in love with. By the time the mum emerges from the den, or the cubs emerge from the den at 6 to 8 weeks of old, often it's not 6 cubs that emerge, it might be 2. If she's lucky, it might be 4. It could be 1. It might be none. So this cheetah in this print, black and white print, to give extra emotion to it, staring right at you, says to me, we need to be more careful. We need to be more considerate. We need to be more mindful as to the welfare of other creatures, not least these beautiful big cats that Angie and I have spent so many years following in the Maasai Mara, in the Serengeti, which is now the focus of the Sacred Nature Initiative, Phase 1, in terms of helping to protect this last great place, and still a stronghold for cheetahs. But what we've noticed in the Mara Serengeti in recent times is the impact of climate change, the impact of elephants inside the reserve, the loss of acacia woodlands, of thickets, because even though cheetahs tend to want to avoid running into danger with leopards and hyenas and lions and want a good view out across the open places, they also need thickets and marshes and areas where there's cover to hide their cubs when they're very tiny and they're in a den, to protect them. So as the habitat of the Mara and the Serengeti is becoming more open, it's tougher for cheetahs to actually raise as many cubs. And in fact, we see that fact because this wonderful idea of creating wildlife conservancies around the edge of the Mara Reserve, privately owned land owned by the Maasai, who make a partnership with tourism operators to create a model for tourism which is low impact, one bed per 700 acres, and which gives visitors a wonderfully less crowded opportunity to see things like cheetahs are doing well there, because there's more mixed woodland than in most parts of the reserve. There's less vehicles, and what we know from Femke Brockhouse's, Dr. Femke Brockhouse's of the Mara Predator Conservation Program, of again, which we're very pleased and proud to be ambassadors, what she found with her study of Mara cheetahs was that mums with cubs raise less cubs in areas of heavy tourism. So more cars, more pressure on a mother with cheetah cubs, more interference with denning, more interference with hunting, and less success in raising cubs. And so this picture, in a sense, reflects of everything that we feel about cheetahs, these beautiful, beautiful big cats looking straight at you with those big liquid eyes, and in a sense, making a plea on behalf of all wild creatures. And part of the proceeds from the sales of this print will go back to projects that we support, such as the Cheetah Conservation Fund and also the Mara Predator Conservation Program. Okay, beautiful day here in Nairobi. The jacaranda blossom, as you can see behind me, it's dropped from the trees a little earlier. The rains have come a little earlier, but we're still having a glorious day. Enjoy wherever you are, and be sure to take a look at this beautiful print. We'd love you to have it on your wall. All the best. Bye-bye.